What is good, YouTube? A Squad 72, and today we're talking about Black Clover episode 2. This episode is titled A Young Man's Vow, and this picks up right where the previous episode left off. Asta and Yuno are engaging this former royal knight, and Asta gets his grimoire as shown in the last episode. But they flash back to when they were kids, or pretty much when they were younger, because they're technically still kids. And the sister that Asta is trying to get to marry him is reading them this book about the Wizard King and him slaying the demon, and this is what initially sets Asta on his path, as been stated several times that he's going to be the Wizard King. But they cut back to another important scene where they alluded to in the first episode that they mentioned that Yuno had changed ever since him and Asta came back that night, and Asta was badly hurt, and they were trying to heal him back up, but everything's like that. They were saying he hasn't cried since then, and that he's kind of changed as a person. He's become a lot more like strong as a person. And so they cut back to a scene where they're outside, and the father of the church, he flies down on his magic broom, and he has this letter in hand that he wants to deliver to the chief of a neighboring village. The situation is that they have a shortage of food, and they've been going around asking surrounding villages to kind of help them out so they can get through the season. And so this struck me a little bit odd, because he's on a flying broom and he can't just fly to the the villages and deliver the letters himself. But regardless of that, accepts the responsibility of delivering this letter, and he delivers it as intended to. But on his way into the town, where he stumbles and falls, he comes across this man who had been drinking at this bar and who had been thrown out. So on his way back from delivering this letter, he runs into this same guy, and he gets his necklace stolen. So with that being said, he takes a couple hits. Him and the guy scrap for a little bit, or mostly. Just gets beat up, and he tries to make this little tornado on his hand, and it's not really impressive, only because one, he's a kid, two, he's scared, and like three, he's been beat up, and so he's just trying to do whatever he can to get his necklace back. And so as his fighting spirit is leaving him, Asta shows up, and he tries to fend the guy off. But again, like, these are two small kids, and so it's not really much that they can do to this grown man. And with Asta being Asta, he has this everlasting persistence and determination to get his necklace back, and it becomes too much of a hassle for the guy to beat up a couple kids for a necklace for the sake of buying more alcohol. So he just leaves it alone. He gives the necklace back, and he goes on about his way. And this is the reason why they came home that time, and they were beat up, and they had to nurse Asta back because of this situation. And they go through this, and they show you what exactly happens, and that's the reason why is the way he is. And so when they cut back to the same fight scene, fighting this former royal knight, Asta takes him out in one hit. And what I caught the second time I watched this episode was that the former royal knight mentions that he already checked that Asta has no magical ability whatsoever, which this has been stated several times already throughout the first two episodes. And so he says a very interesting line, saying that Asta turns magic into his own magic. But what struck me odd was that if he has no magical ability, he can't turn magic into his magic if he can't use any. And so what I think it's in a more non-traditional sense is when he nullifies somebody's magic, he boosts his own physical ability, which makes sense. He's already trained his body up. He's constantly training his body since he can't use any magic, so his physical abilities are already off the charts. But seeing that how fast he moves, how strong he hits, and different things like that, it only makes sense that he takes that magic energy and he uses it to boost his physical abilities. That would be pretty cool if that ended up being the case, because he already has, like I said, he has incredible brute strength already, and so for him to be able to boost his own stats that way, then that would be a pretty cool ability for him. We're still waiting on seeing what Yuno can actually do, seeing that he possesses this 4-leaf clover grimoire, and everybody's been making such commotion about this, is that he's he might really be the next Wizard King, because the Wizard King normally has, I guess, a 4-leaf grimoire. It's rare, but I mean, it's something that everybody's making a big deal about. But we haven't seen him do anything. He's just been tied up. He's folded a couple clothes, and he might have chopped wood 1 or 2 times on screen with his magic, but we don't really know like what his abilities really entail. And I know like at some point we're going to see him fight somebody, but it's kind of speculating right now based off what I've seen, and especially of his character, seeing that we've seen him as a child where he's crying a lot, and now as a teenager where he's more calm, he's more collected, he's more tactical, I guess. And I'm interested to see how what his fighting style will be, seeing that he has a natural affinity for wind, and he uses a lot of wind magic. But it's one thing that I feel like he has a major sense of well, he has like a lot of potential as far as being a mage or being a wizard. He might be a prodigy. Who knows? We haven't seen him do anything yet, and that's what I'm waiting to see, because we know what Aster can do. I mean, he has a giant sword. He hits people with a sword. He nullifies magic. We get that from him now, but it's still a mystery as far as combat goes, in which at some point we will see that. Also too, at the end of the episode, they make this vow that they're both going to be the Wizard King and that they're rivals, which is something that we kind of picked up on from the previous episode. I mean, a lot of things were reiterated from the previous episode, and the most important thing is that this was a driven episode, and that's showing that how his character had pivoted. And I think we kind of needed that, because we already know what Aster's deal is, and now with he's kind of piggybacking off of that drive. I wouldn't say like far as him just like piggybacking, like he doesn't have his own thing, but I mean, he's the reason why Aster's the reason why is on this journey as well, and so the two go hand in hand. Overall, I pretty much like this episode. There wasn't too many things. It really wasn't anything that I didn't like. It was a couple of things I didn't understand, as far as the father and the broom thing and flying around. But I mean, that's just me nitpicking. But it was a pretty solid episode. It was a very necessary episode. They showed what they needed to show. They gave us what we needed as far as characters. And they did it in a way that didn't take up too much time. It didn't feel like, it dragged on. They didn't show every step of the way for, getting the way he is. I can't say the same about Aster, because his character, like I said, is pretty much the same. But he's just a little bit, they're both a little bit older now. And so they've matured a lot, more so than Aster. But I mean, they both have matured. And so that's pretty much it. It was a solid episode, and thank you guys for checking out the video. Don't forget to like, comment below, subscribe, share. Thank you guys for checking out the video.